Hey, everybody. Welcome to episode 4 of the 40 Years and 40 Beers podcast. This is your host, Bob Bain, with your host, Joe Massey. We also have special guest.
I had an intro that I wrote down. He's the creator of 11 independent films, the newest of which is Harvest. He's published 2 New York Times best-selling novellas. He's dabbled in the world of stand-up comedy and open mic nights. He's been an esteemed IT professional for the better part of 2 decades. He's a friend of mine and a friend of ours. He's a devoted husband, a loving father. He's a self-proclaimed Lost TV series expert, complete with Dharma Initiative merch and booze. He's a friend of the show. He's the 40 Years, 40 Beers podcast first guest, first proper interview, and the gentleman who gave us our first movie screener. He's been nicknamed by me as the Devil, and for a short period of time when we were kids, the ladies called him Big Dick Dangler, the Hoe Strangler. I'm so glad we've stayed in touch over the years, ladies and gentlemen. Chad motherfucking Repko. Hey, yeah. So,
Welcome to it, buddy.
Thanks, guys.
Great
intro.
Yeah, so, dog, first of all, what is Gonzo? I know I've asked you this a long time ago, but I forget.
Gonzo. So actually, it's funny you mentioned that because it's actually the 20-year anniversary. So have you ever seen the movie Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas?
Yes.
Yeah. So that was based on a real person. So Johnny Depp actually plays a person named Hunter S. Thompson. Hunter S. Thompson is a writer. He did a lot of sports writing, but he also did a lot of political writing. He did writing for Rolling Stone. There were actually a few movies. Bill Murray plays him in another movie called Where the Buffalo Roam. He was a nut job. He reinvented journalism. So he invented something called Gonzo journalism, which essentially was he wouldn't just tell the story of, what happened. He would become part of it.
He was he would immerse himself into that.
He would immerse himself into it, and he was a ridiculous druggie. I mean, when you look at his daily use of drugs was insane. He followed the Hells Angels for a year. He followed Richard Nixon for a year. He was crazy, but also his writing was amazing. He's one of the greatest writers ever. And actually, 20 years ago, yesterday, he blew his head off because he was kind of older and definitely not in good health. But his writing is amazing. I've always loved it. So I sort of, I don't know, became a super fan of it.
Was he like undercover Donnie Brasco in these different worlds as he was writing about them, or was it known that he was going to infiltrate the thing?
Yeah, he got kicked out of the Democratic National Conventions a few times. He wasn't
there to write about the shadiness that was going. He was there,
right.
And he was up front with them, with the Hells Angels. He said, I'm here to learn about you. I'm here to learn about who you are, and that's what he wrote about.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. He was up front. He let you know out of the gate he was going to be a part of this for a while.
He couldn't hide it. I mean, he used to, everybody knew who he was. People would do pilgrimages. There's actually a really good documentary about people doing pilgrimages to his home in Colorado because he was that crazy. I'm trying to think, Jack Nicholson, John Belushi. No, they would just go and hang out with him and become his friend because he would take him shooting. They would do a ton of drugs together.
He was just
of a guy. He was the guy. I mean, he was the most probably well-known journalist, author of the time.
Yeah, he was.
Okay,
but his writing itself was so funny and so. If you ever get a chance, obviously not right now, but go back. He has a whole thing when 9/11 happened because he was actually writing for ESPN when 9/11 happened. And his writing on 9/11 is some of the barest, coolest things ever.
Dog, I have a 9/11 lost story that involves you. That's a great segue for when we get to that point of the conversation.
Really?
Yeah.
No. So, was Lost on during that? No, it wasn't on yet.
No. I don't know. I don't think so, but I have a way to tie it all together. In any event, Gonzo was the
name of the journalism.
And it was just this concept of immersing yourself with the people or in the thing so that you could properly write about it and represent it.
Yeah, I think it stemmed from, he actually went, so Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas is a prime example. He was meant to go and cover a race for Rolling Stone. And it turned into him just doing a whole entire weekend of drugs, psychedelic drugs, in the craziest place on the planet, right? And it turned into this counterculture epic story. Things like that. So, and me, at growing up, being in the psychedelics at the time was, it was very.
There's nothing wrong with that.
Very. Oh, I know. Believe me, I know. But
Because, like I've seen you wear Gonzo shirts before. You have it on your wallpaper in your computer at work. I see it hanging behind you. And I wrote it down because your son is wearing
Gonzo,
a Gonzo shirt in Harvest.
I usually have the symbol in all of my movies somewhere.
Okay.
I try to.
So
Yeah.
he wakes up. He goes straight to. Can we talk about specifics of the film or no? We can't do that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah,
So
absolutely.
he wakes up. He goes straight to Pop in the Hood, and he's like, I don't know anything about cars, and he's confused on how he got there. But
Yeah.
and if these were intentional, I wanted to understand why. If these were mistakes or parts of the film that didn't hold any relevance, then we could skip over it. But what year does it take place in? Can you say that?
Hey, Devil, by the way, that is a monster glass of whiskey.
Yeah.
Oh no, this isn't whiskey. I'm sorry.
I'm
I'm sorry. Yeah. No.
Yeah.
No, there's mostly soda in this.
I was like, I'm impressed.
This is actually it's actually believe me, no, I can't do that. I've been sick this week, so it could have helped. But no, this is actually Pilar rum. It's blonde Ernest Hemingway rum. That's what I'm.
Ernest Hemingway.
Ernest Hemingway.
Look
rum.
at you, Hunter
And
S.
the six-toed
Thompson,
cat.
Ernest Hemingway.
I know.
Gonzo.
During COVID, I got real bougie with my alcohol.
Oh, I mean, why not?
Yes.
Everybody had a ton of money. You couldn't spend any.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. But yeah, no, it's modern time.
Because like
mostly
there's a scene where you do a close up of a PS1, but then when he's playing the video game, it's a PS4.
Yeah. When I say modern times, it's more like
Yeah.
within the
And then
few years.
his girlfriend's got an iPhone, but then you see a boombox on top of the microwave. So I wasn't sure if like it was just we're doing whatever we can. That's not an important part of the story, or if there was a significance to
the timing
jumping
wasn't
around.
I wanted so the PlayStation 1 was a knock to. I used to play this game called Nitrous Oxide, which I think is the funniest name for a movie or a game for kids. And so that's what he was playing with the PlayStation 1. And as far as I know, you can only play it on the PlayStation 1. But so it wasn't. The timing almost doesn't matter. In its aspect.
Okay. No, because I wasn't sure.
Sure.
I like the part when you made a cameo and you're like, I think they choose who they go after. You know what I mean? Like I thought that was dope. I don't fully understand the whole thing, but I feel like that's a major part of it. There's Xanax. Someone calls him Tristan in the movie, but the Xanax is filled for a different person's name.
Yes.
And it's a flip on one of the people that you credit in the credits.
Yes. And that's our prop guy. So that was an Easter egg, right? For that person. And the Xanax. So to back up just a second, right? So this is more of a surrealist type of film where it doesn't necessarily follow, this happens, end of story. So there's a bit of surrealism to it where the entire thing, essentially, if you really wanted to break it down, is more just about anxiety in general. We all sort of have our own panic attacks. We're all sort of a little effed up in our
That's
selves,
for damn sure.
right? So
I've been there.
So
I'm currently there.
and there's a level of paranoia to it. So this sort of is where I was kind of going with it, sort of in a David Lynch sort of way, which is more broad than here's the actual story, right?
So I don't mean to cut you off, but I'm going to blow your mind about something.
Okay.
I love David Lynch, and I have never seen Blue Velvet.
Wow, really? That's definitely
seen it.
one of the top ones.
Like you would think that if I'm really into David Lynch, that I would it would be in my collection, and I would watch it once every 6 months.
It's hard, even being a huge David Lynch fan. It's very difficult to just throw on one of his movies and watch it. You know what I mean? Like,
Well, he's very complex. I mean,
yeah, it's very difficult sometimes to watch him. You know, Boys in the Hood is on. Hey, boom, okay, let's sit and watch this for the next 2 hours. No problem.
I can't believe you just brought that up.
But David Lynch is a different. You know, you can't just, hey, what am I doing the rest of my day? I'm going to watch David Lynch. That's
Matt, do you believe that he just mentioned Boys in the Hood in our conversation last night?
His
Chad,
son.
my 14-year-old son is laying on the couch. I come in there. He goes, "Hey, Dad, you ever see Boys in the Hood?"
I'm like,
Lord,
what? Yeah,
I was
we got to
9
talk
years old
now.
when that movie came out.
Yeah.
I was like, Doughboy's my homie.
Oh my goodness, yeah. And my that's one of my son's favorite movies of all time. Actually, when
I
we
think
watched
it's
it
the worst
together,
part.
yeah, he loved it.
My son is a very intelligent kid. I was like, yeah, you know, California was crazy at that time. He goes, I thought it was Atlanta. So, watched the whole movie, didn't even know where it was happening. And they reference it probably 45 times in the film.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So
No,
sorry,
brilliant
Dad.
movie.
Back to David.
No, I'm just so David Lynch is a very difficult watch, and that's kind of where this whole idea of this short was lingering with me for a little while, and it was actually supposed to be even weirder than it is now, and I started filming it, and I'm just like, okay, this is too effing weird, so let's actually make a bit of a story. So you know, we did that, and it was good because then we actually built our own set. Like, this is the very first movie I ever did where I actually built a set. Literally went to Home Depot, got slabs of wood, to you know,
whatever,
put on stuff. It was insane.
Now, how's that anxiety? I mean, is that kind of anxiety driving when you have to take on that much of a project?
It's more problematic for my wife than it is for me, probably. Because when and the thing with this, I don't ever, you know, sit down and say, hey, I'm gonna write a movie. Let me do this movie. It's something that just bothers me for a long time. I'll go to sleep and it'll be in my head ticking like a beat. You know what I mean? Like, you just have a beat in your head. You're like, shit, what is this? And then you kind of suss it out. Once you commit to actually doing it, that's a whole different thing. You know, I don't like you do music, right?
Yeah.
People. So once you have that in your head and you commit to actually doing it, then it's a whole different level of focus. And, you know, and my wife, luckily, is open. She's like, you gotta fucking go do this and stop driving yourself crazy. Like, just here.
That's right.
Let's make this. Oh, you want to build a set? Let's go to Home Depot, right? She's very hands-on and saying, let's get this out.
Yeah, sure.
But for me, yeah, once that's there, like once we had I bought the wood, and I think we didn't build it for like another week. But that whole entire week, I was like, maybe if we do this, maybe if we do that, what if we do that? And, you know, my wife was just like, look, shut up, we're going to do it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I can't get it out of my head.
Well, you know what's funny? They say that people with anxiety are actually the best employees. They're usually very goal-oriented.
I could see that.
Yes, they can be a little nuts and all over the place.
Sure.
But they're never complacent. You know what I mean? Like, they're always kind of on the go.
And most
there's no relax.
Most jobs now are all over the place. You're not just responsible for one thing. You're doing a million things, answering a million emails, a million chat messages. So, like, you do have to have a little bit of that, like, you know,
insanity.
OCD
It's
and anxiety
insanity.
and all over the place. Yeah. The motivation to write lyrics is different from the motivation to record them, is different from the motivation to master the finished project. It's even different from the motivation to create the album cover. So I get that.
Sure.
And but there is a balance between, like, I'll never be motivated again, and I just have to get something on the page as well, right? So, like, there's a little bit of a struggle there. But you talk about the story. So, like, I was wondering, grandfather, father, brother, someone's dying.
That's his father.
His father.
Right.
Okay.
So his
father's dying. I wasn't sure if he was, and I don't know that we should really get an answer. I don't want to ruin that part of it, but I wasn't sure if he was imagining that as part of his trip, or if that's what set him off on the whole situation and needed the Xanax in the first place.
I think it's a combination of both, or either one, right? It's really kind of up to you. Like, so all of us,
right.
In general, part of our anxiety definitely stems from the fact that, hey, we're almost done here.
Yeah.
Hey, like,
it's halftime, dog. It's halftime.
We're getting to the pointy end of this whole entire experience, right?
Yeah.
And you know, there's a gasp there for it. And that's part of it. That's why everything is the way it is, because, we're creating religions, we're creating politics, we're doing all this stuff for that exact reason, to somehow stop that inevitable thing.
Or make yourself feel more comfortable while it's happening.
Right. Well, while it's going through.
Which is never going to happen. I mean, let's be honest.
It is what it is.
Even though we all know that, we never want to stop trying. That's the issue.
No, people, and it's all, in this particular film, and again, either successfully or unsuccessfully, I don't know if I did, but, I wanted to at least show everybody has that exact same thing, right? Everybody has, look, you're going to know someone that's going to die, and eventually you're going to die. And also, you're going to have relationships, either with a girlfriend or with whatever. You're also going to feel, and this is, obviously there's a big alien aspect to this film, but to yourself, at some point, maybe lots of times, you're going to feel like an alien. Yeah. Even amongst other humans, you're going to be like, shit, I'm the fucking alien in this story. And that, that definitely could cause some weird psychological.
That's what I felt. I felt like the alien was a metaphor. It wasn't an actual alien coming down from outer space.
Right. Sure.
When he's on the phone with the doctor and he's like, it's just, I'm just not right. Like, it's not working. Like, we've all had that conversation with our doctor or our wife or somebody.
Yeah. That's my favorite scene too, by the way, because to me, again, you could be a Martin Scorsese fan. I'm assuming you are. Yeah. That is my Martin Scorsese shot. I always call, because in his works that people don't know most of, like Mean Streets and After Hours. Mm-hmm. Those just
two great films, by the way.
I love After Hours. Might be my favorite Martin Scorsese film. I know it's very hard.
After Hours, but I love Mean Streets.
But the shots, the shots that he does, these very still or very appropriate shots, simplistic, is unbelievable.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, and he kind of inches the door closed a little bit because he doesn't want his family to hear he's on the phone with the doctor. And then the other scene when he's laying like this, and the girlfriend is like, Tristan, did you hear anything I said about my day at work? And he's like spaced out. Like, that happens to me with my wife and kids too. Yeah, like I thought it was dope. But so at the end, when he's woken up and she says, they're gone, you can get up now.
Yeah.
This large circle of people, are we saying that that's just a representation of everybody going through something similar that Tristan went through?
Yes, I think, let's put it this way, in a weird way, right? If somebody gets abducted by aliens and has this amazing experience, you could pretty much say everybody that you know has been abducted by aliens, right? And that's sort of this, everybody's going through some of the same.
If you're abducted, you're getting probed.
He does get probed. He does get probed in the film.
Oh, I know. But I don't think it's such an experience that was portrayed in the film.
It's more sexy than when it happens in real life.
All the great TV series that I feel are great, I came in the middle of. I didn't start watching Sopranos till season 4. I didn't even pick up Breaking Bad until years after it was over. I watched Breaking Bad in 2024. I don't even know when it ended.
Can I tell you just something funny about Breaking Bad?
I know 2012 now, right?
I actually had a very hard time enjoying Breaking Bad. I know people love it, and I know it's great. I think I had the problem that I tried to watch it after Game of Thrones, and it's such a totally different vibe.
Correct.
Game of Thrones was right on. Like, episode 4, they fucking kill half their people. Like,
correct.
You never knew what was happening.
Ned was
nobody was safe. Nobody.
It was like, what the fuck's going on? Like, episode 6, some crazy shit's happening.
Oh, and the Red Wedding, all that stuff. Yeah.
Breaking Bad was such a slow burn that it's hard. Like, it was almost like I was watching something with no sound after Game of Thrones. I was like, I couldn't really immerse myself into it.
I get it. It's like the kid that has too much sugar trying to go to bed.
Yeah.
If I may, I agree with you. I think that was the issue, because I saw Breaking Bad probably simultaneously, you know what I mean, with Game of Thrones.
Right, yeah.
And I understand where you're coming from, because Game of Thrones is such an edge of your seat every episode, right? and it's just 1,000 miles per hour.
Yeah,
I
but
loved it.
Right?
really though, you can't
So is
separate
Breaking
them.
Bad. If you really look at it, I judge TV shows by their opening scenes, right? And when I put Breaking Bad on for the first time, and the friggin' RV comes over the hill and lands in the sand, and Walter White runs out in his tidy, I'm like, you know what? I'm going to keep my eye on this show. I'm going to keep watching this. I knew 5 minutes in.
Now,
I can't quite place
that's what made me wait a decade after it was over to start watching it, because I didn't like that opening scene. But that's interesting.
I did like the opening scene. There was something about it. I don't know if maybe Walter White just wasn't.
But what are you saying? You
doing
can't
it for
enjoy a
me?
glass of water after fruit punch because it's the stark contrast? Like, that doesn't make... You created Harvest, and your brain can't switch itself from Game of Thrones to Breaking Bad?
Literally, and I even told my wife this as we were watching it. We watched Game of Thrones, and then we were watching Breaking Bad, and I turned to her, like, I think it was episode 3. When the tub thing, like they were doing the tub thing, whatever episode.
With the acid, yeah.
Oh, that's phenomenal. I love that
It
episode.
is great. It is great. But I turned to her and I said, I just kind of want to see somebody's throat get cut.
Yeah.
Like,
Pull somebody
I don't know.
pull out a sword. Why don't you?
I just want to see like some. To me, Game of Thrones, other than the ending of it, was one of my favorite TV shows. Right.
Yeah.
So I always say this about Walking Dead because I did love Walking Dead for a little while, but I'm a huge fan of the comic books Walking Dead. And what I did with Game of Thrones and Walking Dead were two separate things. I didn't read the books of Game of Thrones until after the show.
Okay.
But I read Walking Dead before that show even aired.
It'll ruin your experience.
And it ruins
Yeah,
because
for sure.
I'll tell you what, if Walking Dead was on HBO, man, because there's stuff that happened in the comic books, believe me, that they couldn't show.
I loved it on AMC. I watched all the spin-offs.
I liked it. No, I mean, I enjoyed it. It just wasn't
As enjoyable because it
could
didn't
have
live
been
up to the written word.
It could have been darker, and that's me projecting my own darkness probably in the.
But for me,
something.
you know how like Tony Soprano is such a horrible human being sometimes? I remain in love with Tony's character till this day, no matter how horrible he is. Killing his nephew. The first time I saw Tony kill Christopher, I cried. No bullshit. And I still love that character. Walter White became a scumbag to me throughout the course of the film. For whatever reason, I didn't
I do agree. I agree
like
with
him.
that. I could agree with that.
At the
see what you're
end.
saying.
And you hear him say it. What's the actor's name? Bryan Cranston says there is no Walter White without Tony Soprano. So to some degree, one was modeled after the other, at least in the way the actor portrayed it. And by the end of Breaking Bad, I couldn't stand Walter. I love Tony 20
I'll
years
tell you
later.
why. I'm going to tell you why. I don't
way-
know about, maybe not Walter White, because I'll be honest, I couldn't from what, but with Tony Soprano, James Gandolfini did, if you go back and watch, too, because I actually just did a rewatch.
I rewatch it once
just
a year.
a little while.
Yeah.
There's something that he does as an actor, and it's so brilliant. And this is why you love him. No matter how shitty he gets, no matter what the hell he does, cheats on his wife, he's a terrible human being.
Murders people.
There are moments where he is so quiet and so somber, knowing how bad he is.
Very self-reflective.
Very you can see it in his eyes when he's, when Carmela or whatever, leaves the room after they're done arguing, you can just see there's these moments of silence where he is so reflective and shit, this isn't really what I want, but
Regretful.
and it is brilliant. It's one of the greatest.
What's funny?
That he does.
That's really
He's
interesting
phenomenal.
to me because so you're basically saying that Tony does have empathy and has feelings, correct? Is that your point, basically?
Yeah.
So
sure,
it's
he has
funny
no
you say
choice
this
though.
because if you remember, the whole argument between Melfi and her ex-husband was that he is a sociopath and therapy will never work, right? And I always at the end thought, you know what? They're correct, actually. He was always playing a game with her. But if you're saying he had the ability to show empathy and thought about his actions, then he can't be a sociopath.
No, I think it's in between.
He only could show empathy to himself.
So he was extremely narcissistic.
Well, what I mean by that is
You have to be a mafia boss. You have to be.
He knew everything that he was doing was wrong. Everything. He knew it. because it affected his mom, it affected everything.
Yes.
But he would only say it to himself. It's almost like a Catholic confession, right? He's not going to go out and say, I'm doing all this wrong stuff, or let me fix this or that, whatever, to my children, to my wife, to my cousins, everybody around me. He's going to internalize that.
Yeah.
Right? In the confession
Which is how
to
it
himself.
should be, because that whole concept is crazy.
He had such a love for animals because he could relate to them and they without them understanding how horrible he was.
Well, and humans suck in general, so everybody should think animals are better no matter what.
For me personally, I just happen to come into all the series that I feel are great kind of halfway through. And the same thing happened to me with Lost. If you remember, like, you guys were all on Lost from day one, and you were singing its praises. I was
there from the moment it happened.
And so I remember watching, what's the heavyset guy's name with the curly hair? What was his?
Hurley.
Who? Yeah. I remember watching him on her next old school TV screen late at night at work.
Oh, right, yeah.
And he was so into it. You were so into it. Everybody was into it. And I'm like, I got to get. But at that time, there was no like real streaming services or the internet wasn't popping like it was. So I borrowed the DVDs from Chad for like whatever it was, the first couple seasons, that whatever he had. I took everything he had.
Yeah.
April was pregnant with Rocco. So this is the summer of 2009. When did Lost begin?
2004.
Year
2004. My son was born. It was 2004. September.
So I didn't start until the summer of 2009. April was pregnant with Rocco, and she knew she was quitting her job. She was trying to figure out like how to make some extra money and, keep like contributing. So she signed up for makeup and cosmetology.
I remember this when you went to New York.
Yeah. She signed up for makeup and cosmetology classes in New York. And we weren't single, but we had no children at the time, and she had just quit her job.
Oh, that's like office type shit. Okay.
We go, I had like some kind of, I took like an old shitty Windows XP laptop from Mikey with a DVD, with a DVD burner on the side of it.
Yeah.
I took all your DVDs and we went to New York. So,
oh, wow.
On day one, I did the World Trade Center tour.
Memorial.
And then after that, while she was in class, I locked myself in the hotel room and binged Lost.
Wow.
The whole thing. Whatever was available to me. And then when she would finish class, we would go out to dinner, we would hang out, go clubbing, and whatever we did at night, we were across the street from Madison Square Garden in a hotel room. But after the World Trade Center tour, we didn't have much money. We were preparing for the baby to come and all. So I just chilled in the hotel room.
I got to ask you this question.
Go ahead.
Were you guys at the Hotel Pennsylvania?
Yes, if that's the one directly, physically across the street from the Madison Square Garden.
It's like the oldest hotel in New York or something?
It was an old school hotel, yeah, probably.
Yeah, I stayed there.
I don't remember the name of the hotel, but that's how I got started on Lost. But that tour was dope because survivors were giving the tours at that point in time. This was 2009.
Oh, my God.
I filmed it.
All of them? Jesus Christ.
I filmed it.
Wow.
I filmed the entire thing. I uploaded it to YouTube, and now I can't find it. I will eventually find it one day. But survivors were giving the tour. So I paid for the tour. I'm in with a large group of people. There's survivors giving everybody's tour. So she's telling us, I'm an immigrant. My husband's an immigrant. The mentality of ours was always put your best foot forward. You know, you always see older men in three-piece suits, no matter what they're doing. The immigrant mentality of always putting your best foot forward. And she said, my husband was big on that. This lady, the survivors, telling us this at the tour. And we're walking around and I'm filming it with an old school JVC camcorder or whatever. And she's saying he would always complain to her that she would wear sneakers with her dress, wear her business suit into the office. And he was saying wear high heels. You gotta fully dress the part. You don't want to give them any opportunity to think you're less than. So
Yeah.
The day that the planes crashed, she wore high heels for the first time. Now she's got to run down 26 flights of stairs with fucking high heels on.
Oh my God.
The first day she ever wore high heels, the planes flew into the towers.
Oh.
So
I know what my next movie's going to be.
She's
this is so crazy that you were given a tour by one of the survivors. This is insane to me.
Yeah, that's
all they did was survivors.
How
were
were you
the
not
only ones
bawling?
that gave.
How were you not bawling your
We were
eyes
all
out
crying.
the entire
We were
time?
all crying.
Unbelievable.
I can't wait to find. I might have to just sit down and comb through because as a first-time father, and especially I'm like a photo head, there's so many pictures and videos that I have uploaded to my private YouTube. I must not have named it properly. And then there's Google Photos versus YouTube. I'm having trouble finding the video, but in any event, I remember it like it was yesterday. We were all crying. So she says, like I ditched the high heels. I'm running down the steps. She's like, smoke was everywhere. It was black. She was like, there was nothing but black in front of us, as if like all the lights were off. They make it to the I think it was the Verrazano Bridge. They make it to the Verrazano Bridge on foot. She's in a dress with no shoes. She says her whole face is covered in soot, like it was
I'm sure.
makeup or a film. She said there were people on the bridge handing out paper towels just so they could wipe their eyes like this and get to the other side of the bridge and just look back and watch this whole thing. She's like, and then like, you know, I had no way to get in touch with my husband. She didn't see her husband for like 2 or 3 days by the time she gets back to the house. Because like you couldn't just hop in a cab. Everybody was trying to do that. You know what I'm saying?
Sure.
But like her story was so amazing. And like we get into New York. We check into the hotel. April goes down. The classes were in the hotel lobby. April goes down to the lobby. I walk straight to the Trade Center and pay for the tour. And then this is like, I'm 3 hours after leaving Springfield, and we're here. And I'm like, this is so bananas. I wish I could find a video. I filmed her entire speech from start to finish. It was unbelievable. But after that, I get home, and then I binge watch. I get back to the hotel, and I binge watch Lost until the trip was over.
And I think, first of all, that's a great segue into Lost because
Absolutely.
So it came out in 2004, and it was totally up my alley. I remember seeing the trailer. Right, for the show. Like, here's a mystery, weird shit's happening. Somebody from Lord of the Rings is in it, so I was like, fuck yeah, I'm on.
Yeah.
And again, it was a very simple show, and there's all these mysteries. And then it started getting, like, really into, like, everything about me. There's stuff about spirituality. There's stuff about literature. Every single book on that show means something. There's stuff about science, which I'm really into. So, like, there's all these things. Plus, there's this crazy mystery and these, you know, good stories, flashbacks, flash forwards. During the show, and this is one of the first shows that ever did this, or the first show that ever did it, where the audience then started to participate online because the internet was very new. There were message boards, right, and all these websites. And I started to go on them where people would just discuss each episode. I must have seen the entire show of Lost probably 50 times because each week, you would record the episode and rewatch it because there's always be clues, right? There's all kinds of stuff, and we'd take notes. We'd get online. And it got to the point where we started becoming friends online. This is the very first time I've ever experienced that, where now I'm talking to somebody in Germany. I'm talking to somebody in England. I'm talking to somebody in California
and this
about
is
this show.
This is pre-Facebook groups.
Pre-Facebook groups, all of that. And you just go onto this website. It was Dr. Arts's, Station Zero was one, and it became this huge, huge community. And then Facebook came along, and we're all friends on Facebook. It even got to the point where I was actually doing role-playing games online that they came up with of Lost, where we would play sort of like a Dungeons and Dragons type thing, but it would be all Lost.
But Lost edition,
But Lost edition.
Okay.
And we would play
how many people were involved in this?
Oh my God! Like the game's probably 30 or 40, but the online community was ridiculous.
But was it like
hugely ridiculous?
Chad made this move, and then hours later, everybody would read that, and then somebody else would make a move. Yeah. It wasn't live in real time, right?
It happened quickly, right? Like you would say what you're doing, you know, on these boards, and it would happen pretty quickly. Well, you've seen it. I'd be sitting in my apartment, so I'm watching Lost. During that, so again, it was when my son was born. During the time of Lost, I got divorced, right? So like there was a total separate. So I had a complete change of life, and I mean a complete change of life. So Lost also helped, you know, because that was something I would always watch, always be into. And all of these people, as silly as this sounds, all of these friends online who have never met, even to this day, never met, helped with all of that, right? It was this huge community, just like, honestly, on the show, all of these strangers came together and sort of helped each other go through whatever the hell they were going through. So
look at you.
And it was very special. And I'm still friends with all these people today. Like on Facebook, we're all friends. We talk constantly. And it was so well done. I know a lot of people have problems with XYZ, but I could care less. I think every episode is brilliant, and I think the entire show is brilliant. And that's sort of my Lost thing. The ending, to me, which I know is very divisive and people don't like it, is great to me because spiritually, and believe me, I'm an atheist. I'm 100% atheist. Starch.
Oh, you and I are
starch.
going to get along well. You and I are going to get.
I mean, an extreme, almost to the very, very far atheist aspect of the world. But the spirituality or the coming together of humans and what humans mean to other humans, the ending of that to me is what life is all about. Again, to me.
I think it's so great when you can attach a positive memory to something, a song, a TV show,
Sure.
a book,
Absolutely.
anything.
Yeah.
It makes it so much more special. But to almost be living out your own version of it, while it's happening, I think that's
Yeah.
dope.
And there was just a documentary that came out called Getting Lost. And it's really all about the fans and all the people in the documentary. I know people in the documentary, like I've talked to them. And even Bobby Moynihan. Here's a funny thing. So, because I've made my wife watch Lost more than once. And part of our wedding vows were things about Lost, right? Being a constant and all that stuff. The Desmond Penny stuff. And in this documentary, Bobby Moynihan from SNL, he's apparently a huge Lost fan as well. He did the same thing. He's saying, oh yeah, I'm doing the Penny Desmond conversation in our wedding. And I'm like, shit, I never had any idea that I have so much in common with Bobby Moynihan from SNL. So it's strange. It's a strange community of fans. I would say that.
I wouldn't say they're strange. I think that's awesome.
Oh, yeah. No, I love it. I think it's great. I cry. You want to talk about fucking tears? Anytime I watch the ending of Lost, forget about it. Forget about it.
Really? Now I have to be
about
honest. I might have to go back and start it. My niece, Amanda, just finished Lost for the first time, but she's younger than we are. I have never rewatched it since it originally aired. I started with your DVDs, then I caught up. I watched the finale in real time, live.
Yeah.
And then that was it. I've never gone back and watched a blessed episode since. To me, it's, again, I think you're changing my mind, but up until this point in time, I didn't feel like it was rewatchable.
Really?
Although, I rewatched The
stuff.
Sopranos once a year since 1999.
I've rewatched Lost.
I've never rewatched Lost. I've never even had the desire to, but I
rewatch stuff
loved
all the
it
time.
when it happened. That was
I
my
rewatch
first
stuff
show
all
I
the
binge
time.
watched.
Do you know what's funny? This will make you laugh. Me and my wife actually just rewatched Dynasty. The 1980s
I've been
Dynasty.
watching
from the 80s?
I've been reading your.
The original 1980s
I thought
Dynasty.
you
We
were
watched the
stroking
entire
us
ninth
all
season.
on Facebook when you post about it. I thought you were making it all up.
Wow.
Effing believable. What a fantastic show that was. Ridiculous in every
How
aspect.
was Joni looking? How was Joan Collins looking then?
Good.
In the 80s?
I'm telling you what, there's a lot of goodness in there.
Dog,
What
you
a
got to go on his Facebook
Crazy
page.
show.
He
Yeah, I
was like-
break down all the
He was breaking down
seasons.
every episode or every season after they watched it. I thought he was just making it up.
It's the most ridiculous stories you've ever heard of.
Oh, I'm sure. With the
It's
music
nuts.
at the end for the commercial, and dun dun dun. With the,
Oh my goodness. It was ridiculous. But it was so enjoyable. It was so enjoyable to
so
rewatch.
now, so
rewatch
since we're
Lost,
talking
for
about
crying out
Lost,
loud. What do
I
you think?
need you to settle some disagreements between Massey and I. All right. So Massey and I were comparing from
Okay.
and Lost. Obviously, it's
They
from
were
the
not
same
dead the whole
producer.
time.
So that wasn't what Massey's argument was. There's a few different things. Okay. So we're going to go in order. All right. So
think that's
Massey
what you're
sees
saying.
similarities. We agree there are some similarities.
There are. Sure.
But one thing about Lost, right, is in comparison to From is 1,000,000% completely supernatural. Do you agree?
I think it would have to be.
I don't think we have proof of that yet. It's not over.
Yeah, but
You can't say that for sure.
Yeah, it's my time, Your Honor. It's my
There's got to
time.
be some sort of portal. There's got to be some sort of portal.
Okay,
Or something.
So, oh my
Buzzword portal.
All right, buzzword portal hashtag. All right, so
There's
all right.
something going on.
So when me and Massey had this argument, I said, besides the smoke
It's an
monster
argument. It's a
in
discussion.
Lost does not really have a supernatural concept.
And I'm calling bullshit
There
on
are
it 100%.
there are some minute tendencies. You know, there's the good versus evil. There's Jacob the Man in Black. Yes,
There's a little bit of
polar bears.
they're not
there's a little bit of
supernatural. They're more, I feel, energy from the earth.
But there's a
opposed to
supernatural
being
element on
supernatural.
the island, keeping them alive for X
I think
number of years.
there's an Old Testament feel to it, right?
Yes.
I don't know. Again,
This
like
is my...
in the Marvel movie Thor, he kind of mentions that, you know, what you guys call supernatural and spiritual is just science you haven't figured out yet. And in a way, Lost is sort of the mixture between that, right? You know, we're talking. So again, not to get metaphysical in any sort of way, we're talking about different polar things. Like what they did in Lost, what the Dharma Initiative technically was trying to do was harness this electromagnetic fields of the Earth, which we do have actually in the Earth. And if we really did try to do that, is there any kind of spiritual side to it? Maybe not. Or is it just scientific? We don't really know.
Okay, let's stop there for a second.
Like the polar bears, Massey keeps bringing up the polar bears. The polar bears
No,
aren't
it's just an example of
supernatural.
what I'm trying to bring up, but I don't have a good way to articulate it, but I think Chad just did. So
the
let's
polar bears
put a
were just brought
label.
there.
Let's put a label on what you just said.
Okay.
So this idea that the Dharma Initiative was intentionally trying to manifest this thing, there may or may not have been spiritual component to it. There may or may not have been a scientific piece to it that we just didn't understand.
It was 100% scientific.
What are we calling that? That phenomenon, that activity?
Pseudoscience.
Okay.
You know, there's
Pseudoscience, yeah.
sort of,
The
Like the X-Files.
pseudoscience element to Lost was extremely important throughout the entire series. One might argue it was the common thread that kept it all together. And all I'm saying is there is also a pseudoscientific element to From that is the glue. You can't deny that.
I don't think From is pseudoscientific. I think From is straight up supernatural demons.
But
You
we
know,
have
other
no
elements
proof of
in
that
play
yet.
Well,
that
the
are
problem is they haven't revealed to the
Exactly. That's why it's
I love
interesting
From.
to theorize now because we don't know for sure.
Here's my problem with From, and I love the show. I watch. You know, there's no way I'm going to miss it or
No,
not.
we all
I'm gonna
love it.
stop
Yeah,
watching.
yeah, for
But
sure.
My problem is they don't. They move too forward with new questions before really answering old ones.
Yeah.
It bothers me. So if we took them side by side, Lost at the end of season 1 was like, holy shit, here's a hatch. What's in this hatch?
Yep,
We don't
agreed.
know. Season
And then
2,
they spent the whole second season.
2, here's the fucking hatch, and here's what's in the hatch. They answer the question. They add other mysteries into that, but here's your answer. We're going into what, season 4? I
season
think
4, yes.
at the end of season 3, for Christ's sakes, now they're saying, oh, I was the guy, you know, at the other end of the microphone when you were talking at the end of season 1. It took too long.
You think it's too long of a transition?
It took too long. Now, it's not their fault because they only have 10 episodes. Lost had 24. So I get it. They're rushing through things. But you're not like, so in Lost, if somebody died, you cared about them. I didn't at any point, I don't think, cared about anybody who died in
You
From.
don't
on,
have
let me mark
time
this.
to
You don't
form
have
a bond
time
with
to
the characters.
Right. You don't really get that time.
You didn't feel the slightest bit upset when Jim got whacked at the end of season 3?
No, I didn't actually. I didn't.
I did.
Because Jim finally
He's a
bought in.
douchebag.
He finally bought in.
I know, but he was
He's a
too.
douchebag, but I had a soft spot for him. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah,
about that.
I don't know. It was just. I feel like it's moving too quick.
Now,
I don't
here's a
want it to
question
move
I
too
have
quick.
for you, and I said this to
And
Matt.
she came back too quick. And by the way, when she left at the end of I don't know,
She
season
came back
2,
super fast.
She came
Yeah.
back fast. I'm like, wow.
Well, it was half an episode. She was
Yeah,
back.
you gotta
Yeah.
leave that. You gotta let that breathe a little bit.
You mean when she
Same
left
thing.
and went back to the town and in the
yeah,
hospital?
like that was way
When
too.
he pushed her out the
But you
window.
know what, Chad? Like you're saying, they can't let it breathe because of the that's time they have.
I know,
But if
that's
they
the
if they
problem.
helped answer more questions, we would be okay with the pace.
Right.
That's what we're saying.
Like, okay, there's no electricity, but there is electricity. What? Okay.
So again,
Nothing.
yes, I agree. Why are there no power lines or anything?
Could there be a phenomenal explanation to all of our open items at the end of the entire series that would satisfy us? I think the answer could be yes.
It could be Elon Musk. Who knows? Right
Yeah.
At this point, who knows?
Don't get much riled up with Elon Musk. And what was he saying earlier?
We're just going to keep on going with
about sociopaths and stuff like that. He's all fired up. Artificial intelligence, social security numbers, don't get him started.
Here's the other thing. The other thing they talked about is, and you're right, because now my mind's going, Chad. Remember, what's the guy? The guy's been there forever. What's his name? The older guy who kind of acts.
He was a kid.
Victor, boys. His name is Victor.
Any of the stuff that I do, I have zero talent in anything I do, writing or filmmaking or any comedy.
Zero what?
Talent. I have zero talent. Here's my only talent. My only talent is I don't give a fuck, and I would just do whatever. So yeah, I have zero filter. I have zero. My son knows all the drugs I've done, all the craziness and stupid whatevers. I don't hide.
How
anything. I could care
do
less.
you not, as a father, how do you not glorify it to the point where he follows in your footsteps?
Like what? Like as far as like past drug use and things of that nature?
Yeah.
Can I actually answer this question? I mean, not to that, but no, how I talk to my kids, to be honest. So I've actually had this conversation with Nick. Like, I don't get into my past, but we talk about, for example, I talk about marijuana being different from everything else, right? And the reason I say that is I'll say to him, I'll be like, dude, listen, I don't want you smoking pot, but if you do, whatever. I was like, don't ever take a pill. Don't ever do this. Don't ever somebody says it's an aspirin from somebody. And it's because I truly believe if you say to your kids all drugs are bad, right? They're going to smoke pot. And they're going to go, oh, my God, I didn't die from this. If they lied to me about this, they lied about everything else.
Well, before you got back, he's saying he was transparent with his son and told him everything. And I'm saying that's also difficult.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I didn't just sit him down and say, hey, listen, I used to do ecstasy and Special K and blah, 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 and all this stuff, night after night. But it comes up in conversations, right? He hangs out with me and my friends and whatever. It happens. But if you really look at your children, you can tell. My son isn't going to follow me at all. He isn't. I'm not like this great father where he's like, oh, shit, I got to be like him. He's his own dude, and he'll tell me straight up, you're being an idiot. Stop doing whatever you're doing. So he's on his own thing. I don't think he would do. And also, I don't think the opportunities. It's a totally different world that our children are living in than I was in the '90s doing all the shit that I did. Totally different.
Well, they're not interested in
it. Doing stuff that we'll never even know.
Which I'm over the moon about the fact that they're not interested in it. That's a blessing.
But they're going to have their own, their own things.
Yeah.
Again, we won't even understand it.
For sure. But like with my brother and I don't think my past was crazy at all, but just enough it could have been crazy if I didn't curb myself night after night and keep an eye on making sure I didn't go over the edge. Some people don't have the ability to keep an eye on themselves that way.
I have quite a few friends that didn't make it out of that. So I can't say why I did.
So do we,
I'll share with you guys.
Maybe I didn't. I also had, I'm not the greatest, I don't have all the greatest moments, you know what I'm saying? So I think...
Listen, I'll share with you guys right now. I mean, my brother, God bless him, he's 50... How old is he? I'm 43, so he's 55.
54?
He's in rehab right now for 90 days. Probably 25-year addiction, maybe even longer. At least 5 years to methamphetamine that I know about. And you know what? He's just one of those people, has an extremely addictive personality to everything. And frankly, it's a disease, right? So... He's getting out of rehab now. He's going to get into sober living. I mean, this is the first time I'm not kidding. I mean, God, 25 years he's probably going to be.
But my question
sober.
is,
And he's been sober now for like 90 days in the rehab. He was in jail for 7 months. So he's going on like 10 months sober, which is the longest it's been in 25 years.
Sure.
My question is, I realize it's extremely difficult to prevent it, which is the challenge for parents. But is it a disease if they never put any drugs into their system?
So I believe that there is genetics involved.
For any human being on Earth, the disease could be just like, like a wart or cancer. Like it lays dormant and then something makes it crop up. The something that makes it crop up with drug addiction is taking them for the first friggin' time.
Scientifically, I don't think it's the drug itself or what the drug does. I think it's the end result, right? So there's other things, and this could be a good segue for you. Even sexual things, right? Your fetishes are always there, right? There's a maybe genetic. There's something within that DNA that you like this. Maybe it's from your childhood. Maybe it was just always there. Same with alcoholism. Same with
serotonin,
drug use.
Whatever releases serotonin.
Same with people who are crazy, about jumping out of airplanes or fucking military people, right? They're gung ho on something,
right?
And no matter what, if they try to just sit and watch regular TV, they're going to be angry and pissed off. There's something else happening.
Right? I get it, but my point is, let's use the airplane scenario for example.
Sure.
If it's hammered into your head your entire life that airplanes are horrible, and if you never get on an airplane, you don't unlock that part of yourself that loves jumping out of them.
Right. Well, that's a trap. Sure.
That's what I'm saying about Bob's brother. When he makes the statement that it's a disease, I wholeheartedly agree with that. But it's only a disease if you don't take it serious from the gate and you don't refrain from doing XYZ thing. So that's what I'm saying is, as a parent, I'm trying to stop at nothing, especially because my brother died. Bob's is still here, thank God, and he's doing the best he can to stay around. But like, as a father, that paranoia of, am I doing everything I can to make sure they know this shit is horrible and don't ever touch it? Because if they refrain from it, my odds of them never letting the disease kick in are way greater.
Sure.
It's not realistic.
It is, but...
And by the way, just you thinking
that's
that...
what I was going to say.
Just you thinking that is already you doing everything you can, right? There's plenty of parents who are just like, man, whatever.
Correct.
It's tough. It is a whole nother anxiety to have a child. Terrible.
And that's what's horrifying, right?
Yeah,
like you can do everything you want and everything you can, and it still may not work out the way you want. Yeah, I think to Chad's point, listen, I'm on medication for anxiety. Frankly, it was the greatest thing I ever did in my life. But you're always going to have that anxiety, right? You're always going to wonder, are you doing the right thing? Are you doing the best by your children?
We have no idea.
At the end of the day, Mass, they're eventually the ones who have to go out and live in that world. Yeah. And if you can wake up, look yourself in the mirror and say, you know what, I did everything I could to make sure they lived the best life possible. They were straight and narrow as possible. Then you can look yourself in the mirror and say, I was a great father. You know what I mean?
Whatever else happens. Yeah,
I'm going to tell you what. I'm going to tell you what. This is the real key. No matter what you do now, all you're doing from jump till they're 18, maybe 20, whatever. You're planting seeds. That's it. Plant those seeds that you're planting. It isn't going to work out how you think it's going to work out. They're going to live their own life. But at some point, those seeds will take fruit. And even if they do mess up, even if one of your children does, do LSD, which sometimes is a good thing, but if they do it, you want to be, and here's where our roles really come in as parents. You want to be the house or the lighthouse that boat can come into if they're in troubled waters.
I like that analogy.
That's it. We can tell them, hey, sail this way. They're not going to sail that way. If they sail into those troubled waters, our only job as parents is to be that lighthouse and say, hey, you're in trouble, bro. Come on in. We're not going to judge you. We'll take care of you. We're going to be here. And we'll, we'll have our opinions, but you know,
I told you so.
you have that place to land.
You know what's funny, Chad?
And that's it.
I always say, and this kind of piggybacks on your point there, where your job's to plant seeds. I always say, and this is horrifying to some parents, but for me, it helps me kind of guide my children to be better people, right? To go and pursue all of their goals. From the day your children are born, your job as a parent is to prepare them to leave you.
Yeah.
That's your job.
Get the fuck out.
Right? I mean, in all seriousness,
I just want the old one to be able to watch the young one.
Is there really?
We're not going to be here.
What is your job? That's the most simplest form if you really break it down.
Sure. Yeah. I
your
get
job
it.
is to prepare them to leave you.
Yeah. And actually, so my son just actually left.
Horrifying.
My son actually just left the house. He moved back in with his mother. But it is sort of still like him going out on his own.
Yeah.
Which is good. You know, I'm still like, I'm not.
My Uncle Dave, so
goes.
you guys are empty nesters at this point?
Yeah, we are. His
My
friend
Uncle
was
Dave says empty
his friend
nesting
was
is
the
the best thing ever. And I got the Toy Too Far T-shirt on from the chest.
That's a great shirt.
From the chest to the, this is vintage, dog. I might be one of like three people walking around with this.
And look at all the film festivals it was in. I don't know if you can see the.
Didn't I?
It was on Amazon Prime.
Did I help you make that image or no?
Yes. Actually,
yeah.
You did help make that image.
Yeah.
You were supposed to be in the fourth one, but that never happened.
Dog, I'll be a great.
The script was written. There was a script written where
the Nerf Wars.
What? Yeah, it was Nerf. It was Nerf Wars.
I was supposed to be a
Joey was supposed to be a mafia, Tony Soprano that they would have to meet. They got too old though. They couldn't.
Joey Goomba.
They're like 20 years old now, so Little Detectives doesn't work. But the script was written. It was a very.
Have you ever thought about rebooting it as like College Detectives or something like that?
I thought of it. It's hard. I'll tell you what about doing short films, especially at my age. Because it's a young person's game, right? You have all your friends.
But how awesome is it as a movie director to put your child in a starring role?
Yeah. Oh, I love it. And so this next month we're actually going to Ocean City, Maryland Film Festival, which is one of the best film festivals in the country.
Really?
And yeah, it's amazing.
When is it?
The whole March 7th. We've been going. So my family is from Ocean City, Maryland. So I go down there. I grew down there as a kid all the time. My family's still down there. I take my wife down there. There was a film fest that, started a few years ago, and our very first Little Detectives got into it. And we go down, and it was a very successful film fest. And then the very next year, we had our second one go down. And my son, so he's in it, and he doesn't know, what's going on.
He's young at the time.
Yeah, he's young, making him do films, whatever. And we go down, and as we're there for like the opening, some people come up to my son and like start hounding him. They're like, "Hey, wait a minute, you're from Little Detectives." And it was like this weird, like famous moment for him, and he had no idea how to react. He was like, "What?" And I'm like, "How do these people even know who the fuck we are?" And they were there last year, so they remembered. And so each year. And so, each year we went down. We've been there. This will be our fourth time there with this film.
With Harvest.
With Harvest. And it's such a great time. And they put on an amazing festival. It's like the whole city. The whole city it goes for it. It's crazy. So hopefully we'll have some more success there. Okay. That's it.
So I've known you since 06. Almost 20 years, and I never knew this about you. Like, I remember...
Which is weird, because I'm very open about it. I don't...
Right.
I do want to, real fast, I do want to start it with one disclaimer. I am an extremely open-minded individual.
Sure.
Okay. I am horrified about where this is about to go. Very interesting. Horrified in a good way.
I don't even know if it's that interesting, but
so start from the beginning with the Raves and the Dungeon Club.
Okay, so
Did the rave just become boring after?
Okay, so give us the whole. So we have a half hour. Give us the whole detail.
I'll give you the whole
from
thing.
the rave. Like, where were the raves?
And at this point in time, hold on. At this point in time, I'm going to bookmark this clip. I'm going to post a picture of me and Chad in the graduation photo. We look like two completely different people. We both had a full head of hair.
Yeah,
it was all black hair.
By the way, I'm only this big because I quit smoking cigarettes. So this is the result.
No, you
of
look
that.
good. You look good.
They,
God bless you.
They say you get healthy, but you really don't. Okay, so
You started out in raves.
in the mid '90s, my psychedelic worlds came to go to raves, which were underground dance clubs in Philadelphia. Like literally clubs, after midnight that were shut down that you go to.
Can you drop some street addresses and names of
Were they
these
like in
establishments?
warehouses or actual clubs?
There some were warehouses, some were clubs after hours. But there were warehouses where they had to do like literally generators and.
Were you going to
whatever.
Space? Was that one of the places you were going to? Space?
No, I went to Club Fever.
Okay.
And Club 1415.
1415.
Oh, 14, 15. Our buddy,
there.
our buddy Vinny, the one he's going to camping with on the weekend of
he
March
went to 1415?
his father was the head bouncer there.
Oh, really?
Vince.
Yeah.
Vince.
No shit.
Yeah,
Oh, wow.
yeah.
There were a few other ones that I can't fully.
Wait,
Fever
1415 was a rave? I felt like we had hip-hop
after
there.
hours. After
Oh,
hours.
after
Raves-
hours. Okay.
So
okay.
raves would always have, some of the electronic stuff, but then also there was hip hop rooms. Funny story, actually, in Club Fever at the hip hop room, I swear to God, I danced with Pink. Pink used to go to Fever.
Yeah, she's from Doylestown.
I swear to God, I danced with her there.
That's awesome.
And I can't confirm it, and I don't really know because I was jacked up. But anyway, so that was my life for a
Her
certain
name was
time.
Alicia. That's all I know.
Yeah. For a certain time in the 90s, that's what we do. And here's again, I'm not condoning this behavior in any way, but here was the thing that we did. On Tuesday night, you would go, 11 o'clock, you'd reach Philadelphia. You would buy the substances that you would use that night, which were very many chemicals. Ecstasy.
So wait, you weren't
LSD.
copping in your own neighborhood, like in Pot? Were you?
No, you would
have
get
you
it
grown up
there.
in Pottstown? Did you grow up in Pottstown?
I grew up in Pottstown.
So you weren't copping in Pottstown. You were copping when you landed.
Yeah, when you
in
landed, you'd get
Center
whatever
City or whatever. Okay.
whatever was there, many different things. And throughout the night, you would do multiple.
Many different things.
Many different things.
Yeah.
That would last until the morning. So 8 o'clock a.m., you drive home. Where I live, there's a very cool hippie forest, right? Like where it's called St. Peter's Village.
Like where Victor's mother's tree is, that kind of forest?
Yeah,
Like-
yeah. There's
Okay,
there's a
okay,
nice
okay.
forest that you can
See how
go
I brought
to.
it back in there? You know what I'm
So
saying? That's called a callback.
Right. So we would go, we'd go and finish the rest of the stuff that you'd have because in your pockets you'd still have stuff. And you would do
in the forest.
the rest of the stuff. And then the whole rest of that day, you'd be fine, sleep a little bit. And then Thursday night, you do the exact same thing.
Yeah.
So you're up for kind of a few days and whatever. And things got a little weird at that point. So in order to, again,
And how
I've
old
always-
are you at this point in time?
19, 20-ish.
Okay.
We're talking 1997, 8, so maybe 20.
Okay.
I started getting a little weird with anxiety, right? Like, so obviously that's going to mess you up. And so I started, there would be panic attack type scenarios and just weird whatever. So in order to combat that, I also read a lot. And one of the books that I read is called Venus and Furs, which is a very old school book about basically the beginnings of S&M, sadomasochism, which is a sexual, I don't know, like a certain meditation, right? That you do.
The first time I've ever heard that.
So
It explained that way. Okay.
And so it is. So, I mean, if you really think about it, S&M itself is, if you are somebody who is very fired up and very aggressive, you're usually sexually submissive, right? And,
Really? Okay.
In a spiritual sense, that's how you balance, right? Because it's all about balance, right? If you're submissive, you probably really need to be a dominant, right? Where you have that balance in your life. Again, it's just people saying stuff. So whether it really works or not, who knows?
Can you see my face?
Psychologically, that is.
Yes, we can see your face.
So, but that is
You missed the part where he called it meditation.
Yeah, hold on. I'm
It
really,
is.
and I'm sorry. I'm really upset. I'm sorry. But I came into when somebody said, yeah, the dominant. So I obviously missed a good segment. So have we transitioned from the raves to the dark rooms now, or whatever we called it?
Yes. So
what is a dark room?
A dungeon. So also in Philly, Philly was not just raves, right? It was a big city. So they would have after hour dungeon clubs, right? Which would be S&M.
Wait, was Dungeon just the name of the club, or was it designed like
Oh,
a
it
dungeon?
was like just the...
Right? Was it the old skinny guy from hanging on the wall? Or what
Yeah,
was it like?
yeah, it kind of was. It was like, when, what's his name in Game of Thrones, where he's on the
Because
thing.
dungeon, because that lends itself to the S&M activities?
Yeah,
Okay.
sure.
Okay.
Sure.
Okay, so
Yeah,
so
so
like not so
There
So
were
again,
whips
it's
and, there were whips and chains and
Whips.
shit?
so S&M
Chains,
is
hook.
sadomasochism, correct?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Correct.
So
the
one
part you
person
missed-
is so you have to make sure that you have one person who's into being the dominant and one person who's into being the submissive, correct?
That's the general
Take off.
side of it, yes. So this also comes into light. So I was trying to not do drugs anymore, right? I was trying to sort of I was having my own problems, so I'm trying to just figure other ways to reach that.
And what was did you say you discovered a book that broke down the origin of S&M?
Well, so Venus and Furs is one of the very first books about S&M.
Okay.
And it's literally like the
So you're on
the
this
father
path of trying to change the portion of your life around where you're doing drugs and you're not happy with it, and you read this
Correct.
book.
Yes. But also, at the same time, I learned about... So there's a person called Bob Flanagan. Again, Google this person. There's documentaries about this person, Bob Flanagan, who is the world's most super sadomasochist of all time. He was diagnosed with cystic fibrosis at a young age. So doctors were telling him he's going to die at like age 9, age 10. He was literally living in pain his whole entire life.
You know, cystic fibrosis is massive.
No.
It's like a lung
It's a lung
thing.
issue.
Yeah, lung
extreme mucus and fluid. And,
Right. He was going to die at any time and in constant pain. The way he balanced it out was with S&M. So he became the largest. He was at museums. He was the exhibit.
I need to cut you off for a
literally...
second because I'm a little nervous.
Yeah.
So you just said he thought he was going to die by 10 years old.
Yeah.
When did he start? I don't know that we can be talking about this if we're talking doing S&M.
Later in life, he started doing...
How long did he live? When did he die?
He lived to like 47.
Okay.
He lived
All right,
for a long time.
I want to stay out of prison.
But he was the exhibit, and he would do like crazy things. There's videos of this, of him like nailing stuff in his penis. I mean, he was the extreme guy. And I looked at that at the time. I was like, "What the hell is this?" Right? Because I don't know. I don't understand it. And so I did. I started sort of getting into that a little bit.
How did that help him combat the pain?
And was he a dom or was he a sub?
He was the sub.
Okay.
Mostly. The way it helps with the pain, if I can explain this correctly, is it nullifies things. So I got into it and I started doing my own performance art, which mixed in rave dancing with glow sticks, but then also S&M. So I would play, Nine Inch Nails music or Marilyn Manson music and do this sort of performance. And I started doing it at parties. And for one thing, to shock people
With a partner or on your own?
No, this was completely on my own.
Okay, so it was completely
Parties
solo.
like a bunch of people your age from your neighborhood get together at somebody's crib? Okay,
mostly.
Okay.
And then I would just do this.
Are you naked during this performance?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
With a mask on, like a
Nope.
a gimp, like nothing like that, or
No masks. There were tools. I definitely used tools on my body.
okay. So you were basically doing S&M to yourself.
Hmm?
Understood.
Yes, understood.
Got it.
To the music,
to the
And
music.
it was like a performance. Okay.
Sure. And the people, the high from that literally was these people never seen anything like it. In fact, they probably didn't expect anything like it at the time that they saw it. And I love that part of it. Like the hey, here's something you've never fucking seen, right?
Sure. Yeah.
But then at least personally for me, it's really out of nowhere. Like it's out of body. It's an out of body experience.
So did that replace the high of the drugs?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. I totally stopped drugs altogether since then.
So can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
So the euphoria came from the reaction to the performance, not necessarily the S&M. Is that accurate?
Or the adrenaline from doing the performance?
I think it was kind of both. It's sort of
This is crazy.
It's
really not that nuts, actually. Though
you were saying
What's that?
one of the things is the S&M. It helps with the pain of things, correct? It helped with the guy's pain of
it helps balance
fibrosis.
It's
balance.
Balance. Yeah.
Well, the reason I'm asking this question is we can argue. You know how people go into cutting.
Sure.
Is it kind of the same thing? And that's why I'm wondering, was the euphoria or what helped you, was it the actual self-pain you inflicted on yourself, or was it the euphoria from the reaction? Chad, hey, listen, thank you for joining us. I really appreciate it.
I can't wait until episode 7 when I come back.
Yeah, it was certainly great to meet you.
Dog.
You know, I hope you and I can definitely talk off a line, off of the pod. I really, I think you're a great individual.
Hit me up.
One thing I do want to say is, hey, listen, shout out to Bubba Baseball this week. Great youth travel baseball organization that does great things for the kids of Ridley. It's one thing I'm going to try to do every week is wear different gear from different youth organizations and give them a shout out. All right.
That's awesome.
Hey, thanks, guys.
That's great.
All right. Thanks, Bob. We'll talk to you later.
Beautiful.
A little bit of both, you're saying. It's a little bit of...
You want to... So here's my thing. You want to... I've always thought, and again, maybe this is narcissist or your own thing. I've grown up feeling I have a pretty good handle on certain things, right? In a Buddhist way, right? Like, we should be fired up about this. We should probably be fired up about this, right? We should pay more attention. It's mind-boggling that people were so crazy and upset about sex stuff, but like murder and everything is great, right? Like, think about if you're watching a Netflix show and it's about sex and you're like, most people are, oh my God, that's wrong. But like, we watch murder stuff all the time and it's crazy. And at a very young age, I've totally understood that. I feel like we really don't have a good handle on things.
That's true, because if you were, now it gets a little different if there are women in the room, but if you were at a party with all guys and two of them broke out into a fist fight, that would be the best thing ever.
Right.
But you're at a party with other men and women your age, you take your clothes off and bust out a glow stick,
sure,
and it's the worst thing ever.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
it's a weird.
That's a good...
It's a weird thing. I always felt like I wanted to wake people up to like, hey, yes, this is weird and crazy, but it's totally normal. It's a complete normal thing, and everybody just needs to fucking loosen up. Again, it probably wasn't very successful. I'm sure I pissed off a lot of people, but it got to the point where when I was doing that,
but it was therapeutic for you.
It was also therapeutic for me. But I got paid. People bought me to do it at bachelorette parties. So I did it at bachelorette. Yeah, I did it at bachelorette.
Bachelorette, okay.
Yeah,
not bachelor.
The bachelorette.
Big difference.
And so it was just a weird. Again, it was a very short period of my life, but
we're talking a year, 18 months total.
Probably a year, I'm sure. I don't know.
But when people, when the takeaway is a year of S&M helped me kick my drug habits, I don't see anything wrong with that.
No, sure. Yeah.
A year of S&M by myself, making a little money on the side, I might add.
Yeah, I think, it was great.
Helped me kick my drug habit. There's nothing wrong with that.
It's a fantastic story.
Yeah, right. How come that hasn't made it into a short film?
You're out of your mind
right now,
no,
dog.
it did. I did. When I went to Temple, I did a film. It just never came to fruition. I did an actual film, like on film. which was sort of S&M-ish, and it just didn't really work out.
But was it your journey, or was it just an S&M film?
Yeah, it was just an S&M film.
Dog,
I don't know if somebody wants to make a movie about me, it can't be me. Like, you know what I mean? I can't make my own movie.
No, but you could retell the story. You could retell the identical story with other characters.
Sure. I think it is. I try not to necessarily.
But that's a great short film premise, dog. You're out of your mind right now if you don't think what we just said. The fact that the main character.
So what I'm writing right now, and this is going to be years in the making, is an actual feature, which is the 90s. So it's basically the film I'm making is Stand By Me, but in 1996. So group of friends go into the woods, do drugs, coming of life, scenario, but in 1996. And there will be a bit of that in that. It will be a very personal film. Well, I just want to write it. I actually don't want to make the film. I just want to sell the screenplay. A feature film isn't haunting.
I realized getting someone to say yes is a different story, but do you have an outlet to sell a film? I mean, a script?
No. Okay. It would be my idea.
You'd have to figure that out. Yeah,
there's a lot of film festivals that you could just submit a script to, and if it does well, somebody might say, "Hey, let me buy that from you."
How does a script, quote unquote, do well? Like the whole audience reads it the same way that they would sit down and watch it?
Sure.
Really?
Yeah. People were just like,
come into this lab, we're going to test this new cereal kind of shit?
Sure.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I guess. I don't know. I've never really done it. I've never fully done it.
I didn't know that was a thing. It makes sense, but I didn't know that was a thing.
Yeah. Yeah, you can do a lot of things. But I never, even believe me, with the film festivals, I never expected see it do well in any way. But we've done very good, and we've been to quite a few where
so
it's weird. It's a strange experience.
Explain to me, we were talking about this offline the other day, the music that Danny and I make is just for us, right? We don't purchase the beats, right? We just download them off YouTube, and they're free for personal use. But if you were to put it on Spotify or something, you'd have to own the beats. And so because all our money goes to our family, we don't spend money on the beats. We don't spend money on the Spotify publishing part of it. We just we're comfortable in a world where it's a hobby, it's therapeutic, and there's nothing better than driving around listening to your own album in the car. You know what I mean? But
yeah, right. Sure.
We don't make any money off of it. It doesn't really cost us anything. I would argue that building your sets and stuff like that costs you a little money. But I think you're in a similar boat where you don't make tons of scratch off of your short films, right? So when you say my short films have done very well at the festivals, but if you don't bring in income, what does that mean? Just a response, the positive response?
I think the response, again, film,
it's a genuine question. I'm not being funny.
You got to look at it this way, right? In any art form at all, 9 times out of 10, you're not making it. There's no famous things. We're brought up that way because we hey, maybe we can be fucking Michael Jackson. Maybe we can be Martin Scorsese. Whatever. Super luck that they got to do what they did.
Yeah.
And make money and people with money throw shit around. But real art, though, the actual art, has nothing to do with that whatsoever. And when you go somewhere in anything that I've ever done, whether it be comedy or writing or film, or you with music, right? The only thing that matters ever is that reaction. So if I have a film that plays, so I'll recently we were at a film festival, the Skate or Die Film Festival, and you see the reaction to the film, and you talk about it afterwards, and people talk to you afterwards. That's all that matters.
Yeah.
Right.
Now, has that when that positive reaction from the crowd or that conversation of, hey, I just saw Harvest and I thought it was phenomenal. When that warms your heart, when you get that little boost of confidence or adrenaline, has that replaced the thrill of the S&M performances to some degree or another?
Yeah, I would say so.
Because you transitioned into that to kick a drug habit. You transitioned out of it and then became a filmmaker, essentially. I mean, let's call a spade a spade.
I think, well, it was congruent. So I was a filmmaker first.
Okay.
I think,
but was the positive feedback from your art able to compensate for the loss of adrenaline and feedback you got when you stopped the performances?
No, it was the making of it. It's the absolute making of the film. The aftermath is whatever. I've always said, whatever, people...
Yeah, but we just got done saying the reaction is all that matters.
The reaction is what keeps you going in a successful fashion.
Okay.
If everything I ever came out with, everybody said this is shit, I probably would try something different, right?
Okay.
But it's going to keep you going, and there's that security of saying this is okay that you're doing this because of the reactions.
The positive, yeah.
But the adrenaline and the importance of it is you doing it, is just getting it out and making it happen. Whether somebody listens to it or not. It's very possible only a handful of people see Harvest. But I still am going to have to do it, no matter what. Right? So, even right with you, it would be, you can't not do it.
Yeah. No,
right? You
for
should
sure.
not do it. You have to do it.
Yeah.
Right? There would be a hole left. There would be a hole left if you didn't do it. So do it.
The lyrics just come to you sometimes in the middle of the night. Yeah.
Whatever it is. And as far as like moving, I never thought of it as something replacing something, doing drugs, reading, writing, doing S&M, doing movies, trying to paint, trying to do stand-up comedy, thrifting, right? So now I do thrifting. I don't see it as anything replacing anything. I just see it as part of the whole, right? When you are living this life and living in this world, there isn't just one thing, right? We think that, hey, I'm an IT guy, I'm a fucking mechanic.
Right.
But that's not it.
Things.
There's a million things that you fucking can do. And I try to just...
musician.
Right.
Yeah.
I try to just say, let's just do something, whatever it is. And you do get addicted to those things. I'm totally addicted to thrifting.
Oh, yeah.
It is me. I think about fucking going to yard sales all the time now. Just be like, hey, can I find something cool? Here, look, check it. I went to a fucking estate sale. Look at this. I bought this.
Oh my God.
I bought it for $30. I'm going to sell it for $150. I don't know.
Wow.
Whatever it is. Like, I'm just like, this is fucking cool. I don't even know what this is.
Yeah.
No idea. But I just, you just got to get interested in things.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's a weird thing.
Constantly keep creating, constantly keep doing something, constantly keep thinking, moving, spinning those wheels, exercising that muscle. That's the point. I get it.
That's it. That's all, no matter what it is. Bro, this is the dumbest thing I've ever done in my life. I'm fucking doing this stuff. This is a NASCAR model. I used to do it as a kid because my dad
You're putting them together or you're selling them?
No, I put it together and you paint it and do all that stuff.
Yeah, nice.
I don't even like NASCAR. I just love the cars. Like, for whatever reason, I think they're cool cars.
Yeah.
So I do it, and it's kind of creative and
kind of therapeutic.
I don't do it as the box. That's the thing. I don't do it as this is. I'm not going to build this car. I'm going to make a different
I got you.
But again, it's just something to just keep
busy
going.
with something that you enjoy. Yeah.
Just keep going.
No, we stopped. When our children were born, we stopped making music, and it was a good 15, 20 years.
Yep, you got to come back to it.
And it's so weird that no lyrics, no ideas, no songs, no album titles, none of it. entered my mind for a good 15, 20 years. And then one day, I had a Five Below microphone laying around.
There you go.
And I said to myself, like, I permanently work from home. This microphone is here. I'm at
Bless
the
you.
desk.
By the way, I need to find that work from home scenario. Tell you that much. But yeah.
I said, like, I should just plug this microphone in and do a song. I did like a 5-minute record. I sent it to my buddy. And then next thing you know, 2 years later, we've doubled our catalog.
Right.
And now we can't stop. And it's like,
you can't stop.
And because I'm here at the quote unquote studio, it's really just a microphone and a laptop. But because I'm here, I'll do a verse on my lunch break. If April takes the kids out on a Saturday, I'll do a song on a Saturday. Any opportunity that I have, 5-10 minutes, because the writing hits you at any point throughout the day, and you can always write in your notepad. But like you were saying, the recording is a different motivation. It's a different feeling. There's a different energy with that. So when I get an opportunity to record, I'll record. And even now, like, I Jones in between the podcasts. It's difficult to fit the editing process into my life with the kids and everything like that. But like,
editing is hard.
I'm like, why is it 2 a month? Why can't we do them every week? You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
This idea to like get out a reel, get out an episode, get out a song, get out an album, get out a joint album, like make a cover. I make covers for songs that don't even ever get recorded or written. I'll just make covers for shit that I think I have ideas for. Like constantly just doing stuff like that has been a great outlet for sure.
And I mean, think about this, like, again, you can't look at it like this is going to make me money. This is going to be the bread and butter. Back in the day, people, before television, people would just sit around the fucking piano and people would play songs. That was their entertainment. It wasn't for any reason. It wasn't for, I'm going to cut a record or whatever. They just did it. And there is just something so beautiful to just getting it out. I mean, there's so many different weird. Like on this Sunday, I'm gonna host a Dungeons and Dragons party, right? Where I'm telling a story. It's basically a whole movie that these people playing Dungeons and Dragons are going to go through that I've created. Film. And don't get me wrong, there is always part of me where I'm like, shit, I really need to start making movies because it's been a while since Harvest was actually finished. And I'm thinking, shit, I got this whole really, really, really expensive camera that I bought and really expensive editing equipment. I'm like, well, shit, I probably should start making movies.
But it's a good use, yeah.
But at the same time, I'm like, it has to just happen. It has to feel right. Like I can't force it.
You can't force any of that stuff.
Yeah,
and that's the thing. Like for 15, 20 years, that switch was off. And then one day I out of nowhere, I made a 5-minute record and then it turned into like, now we can't stop. Like I work from home. He's off on Wednesdays. On my lunch break, I do a little bit here and there. On the weekends, I do a little bit here and there. He comes over. Wednesdays, my lunch break is dedicated to him. And it's just like whatever. And it's like I'll literally be talking about the craziest shit ever. And then I'll go right into a Zoom meeting with people from Japan. You know what I mean? Like it's nuts. But yeah,
you have to, though.
Yeah,
you can't.
But I didn't feel like that for the longest time. And now it's like I'm making up for lost time. You know what I mean?
I've always, and again, this is my thing. I don't think I have any special talent in any aspect of what I do. I'm not super, super funny. I'm not super talented with film. I'm not super talented
with
writing.
But the raw honesty.
But I just don't care. I just know. Somebody asked me, how can you go up and try to do stand-up comedy? And first of all, I'm going to call it stand-up, but it's not stand-up comedy because people have to laugh. But I'm going to do it. I don't give a fuck.
Yeah.
And whether it hits or not, whether it's good or not, I don't know. And I think that's my only real talent is that I don't have that hold backness.
The thing holding you back.
I'm going to make this film and it's going to go to film festivals if they like it, whatever. If not, fuck it. And, just luckily, by luck of the draw, it's been okay. We've done pretty good with it.
But to be able to maintain a full-time job, to put food on the table, but then do all of this stuff off hours, and have it be well received and have it be enjoyable for you. What more could you ask for?
No, I mean, that's really it, right? Again, back in the day, when I went to film school, because I actually went to school for film, that was the, hey, oh, sure, I'm going to be fucking Quentin Tarantino. I'll be
Kevin Smith.
I'll be these people. And then, at some point you're like, shit, I also need a house and, Pico bill and whatever. So
the fridge broke. Yeah.
Right? So then, you go to computer training school and say, shit, maybe I got to figure something else out in life, which is total bullshit, by the way. Also, we live in the capitalist society that ties us to that weirdness. But, you can do that, but then also still be weird and do your own stuff. And I really wish more people would do that rather than.
I think the internet and social media and having a 4K camera in your pocket has opened that door up for a lot of people. But I will say
there's TikTok stars making way more than I do.
Well, but I'm saying I will say that I'm not alleging that I'm super talented in any way, shape, or form either. But I do feel like some of my stuff is really good. I will say that some of the things you see online, you feel like this motherfucker shouldn't have a camera in his hand. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
It's opened up that door for everyone on the planet. But at the same time, there's a lot of motherfuckers that shouldn't be walking through that door in the first place. You know what I mean? No, I agree though, bro. And I think the whole 2 hours was awesome. And I definitely think you should keep coming back.
Sure. I think it's amazing that you wore the shirt. You found the shirt.
I kept it all these years. Yeah.
I have to, so that's one
I think it's amazing we stayed in touch. I only talked to a handful of you guys still. Dan Brown, you, Dave, and Mike. That's it.
I don't talk to anybody.
Dan Brown loved the first couple episodes, and I told him you would be on. He's like, I'm intrigued.
I haven't talked to Dan Brown in God forever, but I think so part of what I do with these films, right, especially even Little Detectives, is there's so many other people involved. Even little, because you made that logo.
I was amazed to see the credits for Harvest. I'm like, where did all these people come from?
Oh yeah, there were a ton of people who helped, and I love. So there's a local band that's super famous actually. They do a lot. They're touring. They like the country called Chestnut Grove, who does the music. With some of the music, some of their songs are in Little Detectives, and actually one of the members was in the second Little Detectives. And the opening scene of Little Detectives, the third one, was done by an animator that I met at Ocean City Film Festival, who does his own animation stuff. So I try to always, like I said, it isn't just me, right? I'm not the talented one. I'm trying to bring all these other things together.
But you facilitate,
Right, I facilitate into this film. And the shirt, too, I think, because you were the one who actually made the poster, which we have here. And I think to me, that's the amazing part. I love that aspect of it. And Little Detectives.
The story.
This was a joke. It started off, when I first started, my wife bought me a camera and was like, you need to start making movies again. And, thank God she did that. And I started to make some films. And I had a very serious film. It's on my YouTube channel. It's called A Talk About. Which is like a walkabout, but, about race and race relations and stuff. And it didn't turn out right. But as I was making that, I wanted to just test out the equipment. And I'm like, hey, I love this show, True Detectives, with Woody Harrelson and Matthew McConaughey. And I'm like, what if we did True Detectives, but with children? Where they do fun dip, and that's the drugs or whatever. And I got my son and his best friend at the time. And I was just like, here, fuck it, let's do it. And we made it. And it actually turned out better than the other film. And I was like, all right, we'll throw them both to film festivals. And that's the one that actually started doing well. So then we did a second one that started getting to film festivals and winning awards. And then we did the third one, which really got into a lot of film festivals. and then actually got on Amazon Prime.
Amazon Prime, yeah.
And it was just like crazy because it just started off like, this is just
and it snowballs,
something dumb that we're gonna do just with family. And then, we were gonna do a fourth one, but like I said, COVID happened and everybody got older.
No, and I loved that scene when you look at the camera, when the guy opens the door in Alone and you look at the camera, that scene is fantastic. You know what I'm
Alone.
saying? Yeah.
When
you put the bottle down and you look at the door, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you I realize you're not alone. You know what I'm saying? Like that's dope.
And I wanted to do so much. Again, money is everything, right? In that movie, I wanted to have like monsters, and I wanted to try to do like we went on a whole scale of, again, my wife helps out with everything, and I'm like, listen, I need you to find me all the abandoned buildings in the greater area. And we went all over to like all these abandoned places, and there's highways, that are abandoned and whatever. So I always thought that was cool that we, that she helped find all that stuff. And we, Alone was a good one, I thought.
I thought Alone was really dope. No, it was awesome. Awesome podcast. I think once we edit it, we covered a lot of ground. I got through my whole list.
Oh, wait, did you want us to do the toys first?
No, what I was saying is send me a picture,
photos.
like a couple good, high-quality pictures of the Lost collection, the memorabilia, whatever you have, the Dharma, blues, everything. And I'll flash them up on the screen during our conversation about those topics.
Yeah, I'll send some photos.
And send me the link for the Alien Egg website.
I will. That's a legit thing. I'm not even kidding. That's a real thing.
No, I'm going to put that up. All right, Mo, thank you. I appreciate it, cuz. I'll talk to you later, Mo.
All right, later.
All right, thanks, though.